Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Quantal Cockings, and welcome back to the Federation! Stuart, we made it!
We did. We're back. We've got ships. We got a whole bunch of cool stuff to look at today. So, we're the ship guys, and everybody was looking for our opinions on these ships once we saw them. So, here we are to talk about them.
But this is the first reaction. We have plans to do more detailed breakdowns, as of course we do. We are Trekyards. But yes, Stuart, the Discovery wanders into this invisibility bubble, and we get presented with a diverse series. Although, to be fair, we've seen most of the designs in all of the designs in the previous episode, so the shapes are very familiar. But we do get a few more mild close-ups, medium close-ups, and definitely a lot more details. And they're also turned on. We did note in the previous time with the burn flashback visual thing, no lights were on it. They're very kind of dead ships. Here, they're alive. So, what was your first reaction?
Honestly, I was kind of disappointed. We didn't get very good detail as far as, because you had the shimmery effect of the thing that was coming off all the ships, which was kind of disappointing in a way. That being said, it was still great seeing new ships and new designs. But overall, I was like, I want to see more. I want to see the Discovery fly by, and actually pan by one or something. Sure, we got a whole crossover on one or two ships specifically, which we'll talk about in a separate video probably. But there was definitely some good stuff there, but at the same time, it's also muddied by the whole, just the way it's presented, unfortunately. So they're showing you stuff and saying, here's new stuff, but we're not showing you the stuff. Not really.
I mean, it's because they're in a bubble where light can't pass. So, of course, it's going to be black because it's dark. But, I mean, this is a great way of hiding the fact that the models, I'm sure, are under 50,000 polygons, just well textured. I mean, you can see in the close-ups and even just in the long shots, they're very smooth, very simple. There's very few greeblies, which is, in this context, it's okay. Certainly a few day builds each. I mean, we even see on the view screen those close-ups of the two ships, and there's ostensibly no details at all. None. There's nothing. The only ship we really get any detail on is the rainforest ship, which is the only close-up we get, really. We get the Voyager, sort of, but it's so zoomed in, we don't really get a sense of its shapes. The only ship we get a focus on is the rainforest ship, which I had a few people complain about, why is there a rainforest ship? But I was like, it's not a rainforest ship. It's a ship with a rainforest in it because they need air. It's not a big deal. It's like in Battlestar Galactica, they have the ring ship that has a forest. I mean, it's just useful to have a ship with air that makes air. This is space. This is not a standard issue ship, guys. This is just, and which is great because we were, in our other video, it's why are there flying saucers? It's not. It's just a ship that happens to have a forest in it. It's
Yeah, I mean, one of the standouts really, they mention it. The new Constitution class. Or the new Constitution, as they say. I think it's part of the wreckage that we've seen before, because it's got the negative space and all the things on it. It looks a little bit thrown together. I'm not sure how I feel about that design. I need to see a little bit more detail of it. And then there's the other one that feels very like the Hussock ship from the Survivors TNG. It's got that kind of shape at the front. Again, a very neat design, and I have no problem with Starfleet designs evolving, because that's what they should do, especially considering they got more member worlds in the Federation. So, of course, new design influences and things.
Well, that one feels most like relativity. Not to say progression. It's clearly not an evolution of a time ship, clearly, but inspired a little bit. Although they say this is, they talk about this ship as if it's a scout ship, one of its rangers, and I'm thinking, how did you get that from this?
Yeah,
it's a pointy ship with pincers that has no physical detail at all. It's as if clearly the people on set had words to say, no idea what they were looking at, no idea how to express them, and the VFX people said, "Oh, well, let's put this one as this." There's no connection. This is a Constitution. I'm like, you mean this one is the saucer of all of them? It felt so disconnected. It's a new Constitution class. It's no, it's not.
It probably says USS Constitution on it, but you can't see that. All you can see is NCC
really?
and something.
I mean, maybe.
That'd be my guess. They wouldn't just say, "Oh, look, a Constitution class."
Yeah, like I said, the only one we really got focus on was the rainforest. I didn't mind when they said it's some of our hulls are organic, some of the hulls are made just of hologrammatical walls. And yeah, this ship's
Hollow
clearly
force
just,
fields, yeah.
yeah, it's just it's a middle ring that are projecting hologrammatical force fields over a rainforest. Like, okay, that is weird, but okay, cool. So it's not really even a ship, is it? Really?
And then I got the feeling she wasn't specifically talking about that one either. That other ships in there are basically holographic ships. They have holographic constructs which create the outside. And then there was the other one, I forget what she said, some kind of filament that should be or should not be able to be done. So I love that there's new construction materials, and those could span hundreds of years because we don't know how old some of these ships might be. And that's fine. I love the idea of a force field ship.
But now you're looking at it, it's clearly made of force fields.
Yeah, not clearly, but yeah, it could be. I just like the idea that new starship constructions, a lot of them are organic. And again, we've heard that from Doug Drexler, like ships in the future would be organic. They would be grown.
Which doesn't work for TOS or TNG time, but sure, this is mega future. Why not? And I appreciate, though, that even if they are grown, these designs don't look like they're organic grown ships. They could have gone with the conceit of now, oh, that's a space whale ship. And we're like, apart from that one that I would call the hologrammatical ship, they'll like standard building materials. So they grew them, but then have maybe hull on top, etc. They kept a unified feel. That said, the one that really does kind of stand out is that one that kind of does more feel like a space whale. It's only one more detailed ships. Feels like a Star Wars ship, an organic Star Wars ship, shape wise, and even the Nog, again, quite similar to a Star Wars design. I know, pointy and 3D and no nacelles. They definitely went unusual. I appreciate the USSs and the lights, although there's still a disconnect between visible weapons, visible windows. They don't feel like they're designed with. They felt they're all designed to not include any of the things we know and appreciate because they're the future, except the one or two that has windows. But there's a disconnect there, which makes sense. There should be, but then there's they just look like they're, like I say, a day build, and there are models that can build these things in a day. There's a lack of depth to them, so I'm wondering if we're never going to have them seen any closer. This is their swan song. Here they are.
Yeah, we'll see them as Eagle Moss ships, though, probably. There's one that's very reminiscent to the Sovereign, at least the nacelles are, and that's. I'm wondering if that's the Constitution that they were talking about. I can't see any other real visual tie-ins. Oh, actually, yeah. When you zoom in, there's that strapping at the top of the hull there a little bit. So I think that's probably the Constitution that they were talking about.
Yeah, I think they're just meaning, it's got a saucer, because everything looks so futuristic.
I disagree. I think that they had the data feed and everything around the ship. They're probably getting information, the registry numbers.
I guess they just need to show that then, because it just feels silly the way they say it. But speaking of, the Voyager J, the very zoomed-in brief thing we see. What do you think?
Looks like a futuristic version of the Intrepid class, and that's great. I think it was too similar, almost. Because this is the 11th iteration of the ship, essentially. And yeah, the Enterprise went through all its iterations, and they were all very similar. But I wish we could have seen more of the ship. I'm sure that the secondary hull, or the engineering hull, the nacelles would be different than an
obviously,
class, hopefully.
Yeah.
But the shot they give us, it looks like just like the hull of the Intrepid class. So
just without any sort of detail. Like, it's remarkable. It feels like I said, 5,000 polygons, textured windows that don't... Like, the windows clearly is just strips of windows. So is it just one long corridor that's open? And there's no bridge, there's no detail. Like, it just, again, feels like a super simple model. Like, they're telling us it's amazing and it's fine, but they zoom in on the registry and it's just textured plate lines. And I'm like, am I meant to be impressed with this? Like, there's even the spotlights that clearly aren't coming from anywhere. It's very fan film quality, just lit better. Not to say that's necessarily bad. A lot of fan films are very good, but they put, it would have been nice to have any detail, which in fact it wasn't. The Prometheus was the pointy saucer. The Voyager wasn't a pointy saucer. It was a spoon saucer. This is actually way more pointy than this should be the Prometheus J, really, in terms of design aesthetic. Actually, if you want to get very technical. But yeah, guys, but we are going to do a more detailed breakdown on these things, see what else we can glean. We have got some other resources, so do tune in for that. Stuart, any sort of final thoughts on the fleet? We teased them in episode 2, I believe. and now we're seeing them a bit clearer, but equally as dark.
Well, that's the problem, and we need to see them in more detail. I really want to see some of these ships because they intrigue me. There's a lot of promise there, and I just don't have faith that we will, unfortunately, because that's what they tend to do. So, looking forward to more for sure, but as we always say, optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the future. So
I'm probably going to get a scene at the end of the season to kind of fix what they did last year. They're coming to save the main hero ship against something else, and all their ships warp in, and it's actually a diverse fleet. It's like Picard gave us copy and paste fleet, which is the fan name for that scene. Here, actually, they're showing us low poly models early. So I feel like they've added more details than the first time we saw them. Like, they had to rush them then. They added some more passes now. And then by the end of the season, they'll have had time to actually add any details. And then we'll kind of retcons being, they always look like that, is what I'm kind of guessing. But yeah. And it was, but last thing on for my note, even if they're pretty low detail, although quite creative designs, they were given that sense of awe that certainly the Trekyards audience loves. It wasn't just a throwaway. It was a respectful, awe-inspiring, focused scene. As you said, it would have been really, really good. I think better for the fans if they'd shown. The view screen shows the window shows what's happening. Then there's also like wireframe rotations of each ship popping in, rotating, popping out. And everyone's like, oh my god, and we get real like, oh my god, like these shapes are amazing. That I think is severely needed. Which they could have done with these low poly models, just have those, and give us a real focus. It's like, oh wow. So it almost got there, but I'll give him it was close enough.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, let us know down in the comments section what you thought about this scene. Were you excited for the new ships? Because I know we were here at Trekyards, and
we knew they would be. We knew.
Yeah. And sure, not exactly what we expected, but that's fine. So let us know in the comments what you thought. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell icon. We do a lot of lives and a lot of follow-ups and a lot of breakdowns. And we'll be looking at some of these ships in a little more detail in the future. So be sure to you got everything checked in all the check boxes so you notice when we do that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And of course, post directly if you can. All these videos are free. They just come out, you watch them, you enjoy them, love them. But a few of you support us financially directly, and that is so essential. Patreon is a great monthly way. PayPal is a great direct way. Trekyards@hotmail.com. Join the YouTube channel. That really does help. Or join our lives regular. They happen every week. And Super Chat for your comment, your question, or thought. Your voice to be heard. We love that. We rely on that. We just love the interaction. So please do if you can. If you can't, just keep watching and enjoying.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Kungs.
Bye, everybody.